Okay, it looks like we are live. What is going on, everyone? So let's just go ahead and give it like 30 seconds for the lag to kick in. Make sure we are good on the monitor. As soon as I see that we are good, we're going to kick it off and we're going to dive right into this.
Let's do it.
How you doing, Mark? What is going
I'm
on,
doing,
brother?
I'm doing great, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me, man. This is a blast. This is awesome.
Dude, I'm grateful that you're here. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Dope. Dope, dope, dope. Me too. Nice.
Let's do it.
Seeing it.
Okay, confirmation is there. We are confirmed. It is working. Everything is live. What is going on, everyone? So check it out. If we could get a little bit of help, let us know if our mic levels are good, if they are even. If anybody needs their mic level adjusted, please let us know inside of the chat, and that way we'll adjust it. So that way we got a good experience happening. Okay, good morning, everyone. I guess it's good evening for you, Mark A. So this is one I've been really looking forward to. I'm really excited for this one because I've been seeing Mark here, Mark Szymanski, just crushing it on YouTube. Like, it's been awesome watching your journey. So I'm really excited for this topic and to have you on this live. Let's kick it off by letting you introduce yourself, telling us a little bit about yourself and your background.
For sure. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much. Yeah, Mark Szymanski, as Jeffrey said, have a YouTube channel. Started making videos. Let me back up a little bit. I had an agency, and I still have an agency called Find a Tech. I started that building websites with WordPress and started the agency around 2017, 2018, and had a day job at the time in like a real estate agency. Got like a big background in like marketing and tech. I was like sitting next to people that were coding in ASP.NET and like this whole platform and everything like that. I was like, I want to try that. And I gave it like 5 minutes and I was like, nah, I need something easier, more visual. Eventually, I found WordPress. I was about to quit WordPress right away because it was around the time where like you needed a theme, I feel like, for everything. You needed to kind of customize it and do all that sort of stuff. So I played around with a couple of those. I found Elementor, and I was an Elementor user for several years. Started building the agency up, making different websites, learning all that sort of stuff. I quit my day job right before COVID, right before all the COVID stuff. So like, I think it was like January or February of that year. And then since then, I've just been doing my agency stuff, doing other freelance things on the side. And then about a year, it's probably been like a year and maybe like 3 to 6 months ish. I started making YouTube videos like more consistently, like the live streams that some of you guys might know of over on my channel consistently every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then just videos really as I discovered like bricks, ACSS, all sorts of things that were kind of like my next evolution into the WordPress space, and just like started meeting a bunch of people, connecting with a bunch of great people like Jeffrey here in the WordPress community. And I think that's kind of the main thing that has happened in the last like year and 6 months of my life is I stepped from just being a WordPress user and an agency owner into the actual community, which is a whole different thing. And again, it's just, I've met so many great people from it and learned so much.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So real quick before we get going, everybody check out inside the description. There's a link to Mark's channel. Definitely go check that out. And if you are a WordPress user, you're going to want to check it out, subscribe, show some support. Mark, you've been creating awesome content. Your live streams have been crushing it. And I've actually been learning a lot from your live streams as well. Because, I'm here trying to do live streams, and it's a whole different sort of like beast other than like creating regular content. And I really felt this conversation was going to be great. First off, I see how hard you're working, you're staying consistent, and I can see your channel growing into something big. I also admire all the collaborations and connections that you've been doing. And, I also have been seeing other new YouTube creators. It's really weird saying YouTubers and content creators. I still feel to this day. I don't know if you feel that way, but you know what I mean. It's like I see others also in it and having some similar struggles that I've went through. I want to talk about your struggles, your challenges, what you've learned, and things like that. So I feel that this topic is perfect because it's going to help. It's going to help those who are newer to creating content, or for anybody who is thinking about creating content. I'm sure there's so many out there who would love to just start creating tutorials, but you know, it's a big hurdle to get started for many of us, myself included, and then also for everybody watching our content to get a little bit behind the scenes. Because I don't know about you, but I learned WordPress on YouTube, most of it.
Mhm.
You know, I
Yep.
learned so much here, but you know, I didn't know how all of this works. So I like to connect with people in that way.
100%. Yeah. It's a journey, man. I mean, as you know, I mean, you know better than I have, better than I do. And, you know, it's different. We talked about a little bit off air. I'm sure we'll get into it. Just going from the transition from just working with clients to actually like kind of making this content, educating other agency owners, whether that's tech side, the business side, you know, just talking about the WordPress, like kind of news in general. Like there's just so much to cover and there's so many different angles you can approach it from. And then you get into like the aspect of, okay, if you actually want to make, like you want to educate, but you also want to make something of that. It's really like a whole new business that you're kind of starting in a way, because it's an education and content based business and media business rather than just like a service business of, you know, the agency side of things. So definitely got a lot of stories and a lot of things to share. Yeah, we can talk about whatever the viewers want for sure.
Yeah, man, it's like stepping into a whole new industry in a way, huh? It's
100%. Yeah.
like it's kind of like we learn how to build an agency, how to build sites for clients, learn all the soft skills and hard skills that goes into it, and then got to like relearn from the beginning like a whole new skill set, right?
Yeah.
Have you felt that way? Well, what's your journey been like making that transition?
So I feel like I was naturally, I made a couple videos like from the agency side of things because I thought I was going to have build the agency up from a, you know, perspective, kind of like what you've done with Lytbox. Like I thought I was going to like have an agency side of my life there. I was going to make some YouTube videos and I was going to have my personal side of my life. I mean, that's really for me, one of the first things that I decided on doing. I looked around, I did a lot of observation on other people, creators in the space. When I really dove into it, you know, I got rid of all my subscriptions that weren't WordPress based. And I was just like looking at what other people did. And I noticed, I would say like one of the first gold nuggets that I noticed was a lot of people branded themselves as an individual rather than like an entity, so to speak, when like we're talking about like content, not just in WordPress, but let's stick to obviously WordPress. Like, you know, I saw a couple people go from brand names or like abstract things to their actual full name, or like Jeffrey at Lytbox. But I think there's this phenomenon on YouTube specifically nowadays where people like to learn from other people. They that resonates. Like it's like Jeffrey and Mark having a conversation. Jeffrey's teaching me something, that type of thing. So I noticed that very subtlety in like the branding from people on, you know, educators on YouTube. I noticed that like literally like 3 to 4 people actually change during that time from that brand name to their personal name. So that was a big thing for me. That was around the time that I was just getting into it. And really, like, you just, again, I mean, we're going to touch on probably a ton of things, but consistency is just absolutely key. You literally just have to start showing up. You know, we can drill down into some of these, but you know, the weekly live stream thing, live is very natural for me. I just love to talk. You know, I'm just a talker, and I can kind of riff on whatever topic we're headed for. And then obviously videos are really important because they're more succinct and people like those as well. So just at a high level, that's kind of where I would say I kind of started and I've started to move towards, just with the content in general. The transition for me wasn't too bad because I'd already been making some content media before, just before WordPress stuff, but it's definitely a challenge if you're not used to it, for sure.
I completely forgot about that, the whole branding aspect. You know, like
Yeah.
it's a lot different, right? It's like when you
Yeah.
running your agency, you want to build the brand for your agency. You want to think
Yeah.
about the voice and the tone. And I remember getting started on my channel. I changed the names a few times and it was a bit challenging. It was like, wait, how do I brand this? What direction should I go in? I'm trying to figure all this out on my own.
Yeah.
And even when YouTube gave us the option to give a handle, I'm like, what should the
Mm,
handle be? And
yeah.
I was like telling you before the call, my full name, Jeffrey Dalrymple. And I guess that childhood thing of getting called Jeffrey Dahmer kind of like held me back from using my name, like my
Yeah.
full name. And then I've been like Lightbox for like so many years. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, that's very interesting. You brought
Yeah.
that up. I completely forgot about that part of the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, I feel like it's a thing you have to decide, and it's one of those things. It doesn't really make or break you. It's just the trouble is, I literally, the reason I bring it up all the time is because I struggle with it for weeks, and I was like, maybe I should do something like MJS WP or something like that, and I was like, nah, just go with your name. And I was at the time, I was like, this is a really important part. At the time, I was like, maybe I want to do content like WordPress content here, and then my other random content that I would do about my life or something over here. And I realized though that if you want to get into a space like this, what happens is you go deep into one thing. I feel like this happens with a lot of people. We don't really realize it. They go deep into like WordPress, but when people watch you for WordPress, they naturally, it's a human to human thing. So they end up wanting to know more about you anyway. And as long as you're authentic and you're teaching them stuff, they're going to resonate with like Jeffrey or Mark. They're not going to just resonate with like Jeffrey, the WordPress guy. I mean, like obviously that's a part of it, but ultimately, I'm sure you've already seen this in the community and stuff like that. Like people, you're almost like your friends now, or your colleagues at least. Like you're and I feel there's a lot that happens there, kind of subconsciously behind the scenes. So that's why I think if you brand yourself as an individual, it doesn't really matter what your name is, but like as an individual like that, then it ultimately becomes something that I thought I needed to separate myself out of, it's just me. I just know WordPress stuff. I know other stuff, whatever, business stuff, what have you. And I'm a focus on WordPress right now, but the people that like me for me and the content I provide, they just we're kind of friends or, whatever, it's just kind of like that. So
do you feel that the live streams that you're doing gives you more of that opportunity and more of that connection with others?
I think live is a medium that everybody should try. It might not be for everyone. Some people do get, kind of scared when they're live. If you do it more and more, it's a funny story. I actually started doing live streams like every night during COVID, like just when I was back at my parents' house, like in my room, like it was like before I even did any WordPress stuff. I mean, I was building other things, but I was just going live to like 2 people, random people on the internet. Cause I didn't have a niche. I didn't have a community of people. I didn't even have not even like my community. I didn't have like a WordPress community. It was just like random people on the internet. So I think when you do it more and more, it gets easier. And I think that when you do live content, you get better at it, and it becomes kind of second nature. That is when you can actually have those recurring people that come to your streams, like we were talking about, and you start to build your community a little bit there. And it just becomes, when somebody can watch your videos and then come into your live stream and ask you a question, and then you could like help them live, it is definitely something that resonates with them. And it's cool content because it's like you're helping, almost like an office hours type thing. And I would say definitely it comes easy to me. That's why I do it. But it's also like it is super, there's a lot of connection there, I feel like, with the audience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's important to be genuine and to show people who you really are, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of channels out there, really big channels, but you don't really know who the person is. I feel like these live streams, it gives that personal connection because it is just being who you are. But for me, I found it really hard, dude, to be honest with you. It is weird. All right. First off, you're alone in the room. You turn on the camera and you go live. It's like, okay, what do we do? What do we talk about? You just start talking. Like, it is so weird and hard to do. But it's like you said, it's like it's something you got to do over and over to get better at. Last year, I was very inconsistent with my lives because of that weird feeling. And I made a commitment this year to do a live every week to learn, because I realized that doing this, whether it's live, whether it is creating a tutorial, editing, whatever the skill that is required, it takes time to develop, like building a website. The first websites suck. They're always, for me, they were absolutely horrible, and creating content is like that as well.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's like anything, at first, if it's not like super natural, you got to kind of get your way into it. Again, like you said, like doing it more, but also like looking at other people. I looked at, guys like you and everybody else out here that like just are doing a great job from the video side, from the live side. And I'm like, what can I learn from them? What can I observe? What kind of tools are they using? That's a big one, right? It's like, what makes my life easier so I don't have to like, set up a whole contraption to go live every single time, from gear or, just software, anything like that. And I think that those are, if I could give some tips there, those are some really important things that if you just, A lot of times if you make it easy on yourself, like you always have a camera sitting right there, you have a light you can turn on, and you have a microphone. If you just set those things up so you're not like finagling with a bunch of stuff every time, it actually gets easier, I feel like, because there's the barrier to entry for you just clicking the record button is a lot smaller as well. So those are just some things that definitely helped me along the way too. As soon as I had a setup that I was comfortable with and I didn't have to do any weird stuff, it starts to flow a little bit better.
Let's talk about that, the setup. I think
Yeah.
people would love to know, like, what are you using? Like, what are your tools? What is that? That's actually one of the questions that I had like written down
Yeah.
before the call. Like, what is
Yeah.
your favorite gear? Like, I know you got
Yeah.
the camera, monitor, mics, and stuff, but there's that
Yeah.
one thing, that like, hey, this thing is dope. It really helps me
Yeah.
out. Tell us about your equipment setup and what you found works best for you so far.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. If you go to mjs.bio and then you go to my website, there's a tools section, blueprints. I have it all in there too. It's like a whole spread of all the different everything like that. I would say if I was going to take it from, so I mean, obviously I have like a Sony ZV-1. I think if you were going to start right now, audio is probably the biggest thing, like because you just want to sound good. Like there's a lot of people like doing great content, they don't even show their face all the time. But if somebody's listening to you, they need to be at least like a half decent microphone. Mine isn't even the best, but just something that, sounds good and doesn't like, isn't a lot of static or anything like that. So I would say that's probably most important thing. A camera that is at least half decent because of what I'm going to say next. But the biggest thing, I think, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I'm looking up here at an Elgato key light, and I love it because I can turn it on from my computer because it's just Bluetooth. That's a cool thing. But honestly, if I was going to tell you something as a creator, if you're interested in whatever type of content you're created, the lighting is the most important thing. Like almost if you're talking video wise, because if I turn this light off right now, I'm going to look way worse. Like it's all about that. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a videographer. All I know is when I put that light up there, it just made the quality way better. Even if the camera isn't as great, like it just makes the whole situation better. So I have a bunch of other, colleagues and friends that are trying to get into content in other space. I'm like, just buy a light and you're going to feel so much better about yourself. It actually helps too, I think, when you go live or record videos, because you're gonna naturally look a little brighter, a little like sharper and everything. And then if you're self-conscious about how you look in that, it's definitely going to help in that realm. So I would say if I had to say one thing, I think this light's probably one of my favorite pieces that I have currently.
Interesting, man. Yeah, the lighting plays such a
Mm,
big part in it. It really
yeah,
does. And it's one of those things, though, once you get it right and you set it up, it's good to go. Like you get the
exactly.
setup done
Exactly.
once and then that's it. Like my lights, they stay right where they're at. I would love
Yeah,
to upgrade it sometime in the future, but hey, if it's
yeah,
working, it's working.
that's
Uh
it.
yeah, I also learned that in the very beginning when I was like, doing my research and like watching other YouTube channels like Think Media that teach,
Yeah.
how to start YouTube channels. And they would always say the audio is the most important thing.
Mhm.
Uh, but I have to say, my newest favorite is I'm a Mac guy and
Yeah.
I got the studio display. Now, at first I was
Oh,
like, dude, that thing is way too much. It doesn't even have 120 or 144 hertz. It's not OLED. Like, I'm a tech geek. Like, I look at the specs and I was like, no,
mhm.
no, 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 no. But I finally got it. And the biggest reason why I got it is for the audio, for the speakers, because I find a
Mm,
challenge when editing that
mm.
there's always a lag when it comes to Bluetooth. And
It's
then I'd
true.
have to like have wired headphones. And I
Mm,
was always kind of like my head, like with the wires trying to like
mhm.
fit it. It's been a
Yeah.
game changer since I got it. It
Yeah.
totally has, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% on that. I've tried occasionally with like these headphones or anything like that, and I totally agree with you on the Bluetooth thing. I try to, well, this is another maybe like kind of a niche tip too, or a niche tip like regarding this, but if you're looking to create content, I've changed my perspective on this a little bit, but at first I was like, I don't want to be editing. I just want to like do the content, do it as fast as possible, get it out there and just go. Over time, you realize that like people's time is valuable. They don't want to be sitting through like really long videos if you're like stopping and pausing and all that sort of stuff. So like there is some reason to edit the videos down yourself, or you could use the help of AI. But I would say at first, do not worry about the quality of that sense of the video. Like get the decent mic, get a half decent camera, and maybe a cheap light or whatever. Don't go overboard on the equipment because you could spend a lot of money there, and just start. Like just start getting some content out there. Do not worry about how bad it is, because the beginning it's going to suck, but the 100th video is going to be so much better than the first video. Just don't worry about it. If you look back on my channel, you can obviously tell that the videos have improved, the thumbnails have improved, all that sort of stuff. You really have to see where you're going to be rather than just focus on how bad you might be at the start. You know what I mean? Like just in your own eyes, because it's really much more about like actually seeing. If you're going to start tomorrow, what I would tell you is actually see if this is something you want to do. And the only way you can do that is literally by just publishing videos. Like do 20, 30, 40 videos. Doesn't matter how good or bad they are, because they're going to get naturally better if you just keep doing them. But you have to see if you like that. You have to see if you like educating people. You have to see if it's coming, somewhat naturally, or you're improving. You have to see if you like actually being a person on the internet like that, because you're going to start getting, people are going to give you like, crap for, oh, you didn't do this the right way or that the right way. You have to be able to handle all that sort of stuff. There's a million things. I know you've probably dealt with it. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to, there's a whole other landscape of it when you put yourself out there on the internet, that you have to realize that you could mean the best in the world, but some anonymous, faceless account is probably going to give you shit, occasionally. You know what I mean? So it's like, you just can't let that get under your skin. You got to realize that that's the lay of the land. And if you can deal with all that, again, by the 40th, 50th video, then you're going to be so much further along. And then at that point, you're going to be kind of rolling, I feel like, and it's going to start being really fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that part's a trip, huh? That part's a trip.
Yeah.
Sometimes, create a video, and the video is purely like wanting to show and teach something, and then you get that random thumbs down. Like,
yeah,
like where did this come? But then it's just like, you just got to understand that's how it is. It's just like on Facebook. When I'm in one of the communities and I see negative comments or something, if it's from a fake profile, it's complete. You just got to ignore it. It's
exactly.
like,
yeah.
You just got to ignore it. That's somebody else dealing with their own stuff. It's all about just helping, providing value. But going back to what you said about just getting started and not worrying about how good it's going to be. This is a challenge I feel many of us face getting started with this, is like, you see the end result. You see the result of somebody after 2, 3, 4+ years, and you're comparing yourself to that. My advice is not to compare yourself to that. Instead, when you see those channels, you could go to their oldest videos and watch their first 5 videos. Compare yourself to their oldest videos. And then that helps to build confidence, because you could see, hey, we all start, and we could actually learn how to get to another level with it.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, actually, because when you see someone like Jeffrey, who's been doing this for so long, and his videos are amazing, he's got the design, it's all beautiful, and the editing and everything like that. If you're just starting out, you can't compare yourself directly to that. You got to go back and see, like, where Jeffrey started out. And you also, I think it's important to kind of like, I have this idea where, there's things that you can do now to improve, and there's things that you can kind of like strive and kind of move towards. I have, like, in my Google Drive, I'll have like an inspiration folder for different like areas of whatever. And so one of them might be like YouTube, and one of them might be, oh, I really love this design of how these thumbnails look, or how this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like, if you can prioritize and understand that you can't become, like Jeffrey at Lytbox level, today, like that quickly, and you realize that's where you're headed, then I do think there's some value in that as well, kind of like planning and kind of looking towards that type of thing. But that's just a long-term goal. And again, you got to take it step by step.
For sure. Hey, out of all the different areas of creating content, what's one of the main areas that you would like to focus on and improve for yourself?
It's a good one. Probably personally, I think that the thing that I could be better at is being a little bit more concise with some of the content that I create. I still think I like to ramble a little bit on certain aspects, because my mind is always thinking about the nuance of things. And I'm always thinking like, okay, we're going to do like a bricks tutorial, and we're going to do this, this, and this. But when I'm midway through doing that, I'm thinking in my mind, oh, wait, what if the client, or what if like you and as the freelancer want to do something different? So I'm always like thinking like in like this tree of possibilities that could end up happening. So sometimes we might get a little off track. Sometimes we might be a little bit more, we might inject other scenarios like into the things that, you know, if it's a live stream, like we'll get off kind of track a little bit there or whatever. But I think I've started to do it a little bit better in videos. But if I had to say one thing specifically, especially from my older content, I would get people saying, this guy's just talking. Like he's just talking so much, like get to the point, whatever. And that's one of the things that I've tried to refine over time. And I definitely could continue. I feel like to get better with that because I do want to be respectful of people's time. That said, I'm always the guy that's like, well, I need to give you the context because if you don't understand the context, then you're not going to understand why we're doing this. And so it's kind of like a, you know, double-edged sword there. You gotta try to navigate that one.
Dude, it is hard, man. It's like you're educating, you're literally educating.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's so much to teach in this little thing that you want to achieve. You know, there's this outcome that you have, but there's these different variables, more context to it, and you want people to really understand because I'm sure you've been through tutorials yourself. And you're like, wait, how did you get from A to G? Like you just missed all those steps. And trying to create a tutorial under 7 or 8 minutes, I find extremely difficult, man. Extremely difficult.
100%. 100%.
It's like
100%.
Yeah.
That's also too, we were talking, I think off air about like shorts and, you know, kind of like short form video and vertical video. And obviously it's like big in certain industries or just like on, you know, like TikTok or whatever. And I've experimented with it, but there's a 0% chance that I think I could sit down and make a short form video that's like really that impactful or something people would watch. It would be just me talking straight up for a minute, which is fine, whatever. But it's not going to feel like a short form video that somebody producing things would. I can never find myself being that concise. And then as I mentioned, like I've tried some AI tools to cut down my live streams or whatever to get to like something that, you know, is concise and everything like that. But it's just difficult. I think that ultimately the stuff that we do lends itself to long form, and, you know, hopefully people just have the time and, you know, understand that there's value in sitting there. And I do think that as well, if you can sit down and you can watch a 30-minute video on something that's definitely going to save you a bunch of time and you're going to learn something new, then I do think it's beneficial. So I don't know, like I said, it's just a double-edged sword we got to deal with from day to day on what we do.
For sure. The challenges. Shorts didn't work for me. I tried them, you know, and at the time I had an editor helping me out with some course stuff and with the courses, and there was some downtime. So I'm like, hey, take some old videos, chop them up, let's turn them into shorts. And what ended up happening is my algorithm dropped. Like I saw an increase, and it took a while to build that back up. But also I started spending time learning from other content creators on how to create short form content and found that it's a completely different approach. Like a short form content, I found that it works when you plan to create short form content for something specific, like a different formula from long form. So I totally pivoted away from that. I don't know. How do you feel about short form content? What's your experience been like?
Yeah, I think it's almost impossible. Well, it's not impossible because I have seen some people educate on it. I just think that there's actually a couple things that I think in our industry are difficult. The first being literally just the format. I mean, we're used to like big, you know, landscape, you know, like horizontal screens where we're basically showing our screen on the whole thing and maybe our, you know, our face is down on the corner, right? So I'm always getting people telling me, hey, zoom in so we can see like this small text on the WordPress admin or whatever, right? So when you have a short form, I think that that's already kind of limiting. Sure, you could definitely still, you know, do some cool stuff with editing, all that sort of stuff, but it makes it a little harder at least. That's definitely one thing. It's not like you're just, you know, like have your face in there like a TikToker or something like that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I haven't had the algorithm experiences, at least that I've noticed when I've done short form. But my thing is, even to this point, I can't imagine myself making something just for short form, even though I do agree with you, that's probably the best way. What I've always thought about and seen is, and this is the model that I've kind of tried to implement, you know, you look at big time podcasts that are like 2 hours, 3 hours long, they always have short clips. Now, most of them are like 10 minutes, just like, you know, horizontal, like landscape, you know, things, or whatever that they put on like their clips channel. However, we could do that. But if you and I are putting out hour-long live streams, 2-hour long live streams or whatever, there's definitely, again, like gold nuggets in there that people are never going to see. And this is a YouTube problem, because like after the YouTube is live, like you're not really getting that much, depending on what the content is. Normally you don't get like too many views after that. There's like kind of a cap there. It's not the same as like a regular video, it seems like, from my experience. So my point in all this is that I was like, I'm making all this good live content for 2-3 hours or whatever every week, but I'm not repurposing any of it. So what I did specifically was I found Opus Clip, which is just, you basically drop in the link to the video on YouTube or upload it or whatever, and then it makes like a bunch of shorts. And then you're able to, kind of just like that. Yeah, just with AI, and it just goes through and makes them all, and then it has the transcript. You can add captions automatically. You can like change, like take out and all that sort of stuff if you want, because that's really important in short form content. I think even more so than long form. And that's how I've been doing it. Now, am I super consistent on the short form? Not necessarily. Do I think that it's worth it in the long term? I don't know. Most of the things are just like me talking. It's not really me educating. It's just it's not me educating and screen sharing most of the time. It's just me talking. So it's kind of cool. Maybe it shows up in some people's feeds. Maybe it's helped increase reach. But I would just say, again, if it comes naturally to you, don't try it, and if try it and see if it works for you. And if you have Jeffrey's experience where it messes up your algorithm, just go back to the long form stuff. But I'm always looking for ways to make myself more efficient. So when I found Opus Clip, I was like, I'm at least going to try it, because it's way easier than me trying to, physically cut out clips and all that.
Yeah, you answered Ginger's question. That's pretty good. I got to give that a look. I got to get anything to help streamline stuff. Like, one of the things that's really helped me to streamline is using ScreenFlow. I've been able to set up presets in it, zooms. Everything is like set up where the presets are there. I just click, zooms here, click, moves here. And it just helps to speed up the whole process. What software are you using?
So when I'm live, I'm using Restream currently, which just got a big upgrade. So now I can like move my face and like resize and everything. So that was pretty much the main thing that it was missing before. You can like stream to multiple platforms. I would love it to be in 4K. It's only in 1080p, but other than that, like that's a good one that I've seen. Although what we're looking at right here, this wave.video that you got on an AppSumo deal, this is pretty solid too. So I can't knock it.
Dude, we could do all kinds of stuff here. Boom, boom, boom.
This is dope. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. That is dope. So that's the live stuff. And then actually I should probably upgrade this setup, but I've been using Streamlabs OBS at the time. Like, there's OBS and then there's Streamlabs, which is kind of like just I think it's basically a fork of it almost. And then it's like commercialized a little bit more. And I was using that way back when I was talking about those live streams in my parents' house. Like, like when one person was watching, that was just the first one that I tried. I like it because I can open it quickly and just screen record pretty much anything on my screen. Obviously, you can do that a lot. I will say, when you're doing offline recordings, like non-live, sometimes it is nice. I've heard of ScreenFlow, you said, right? Like, I've heard of those. It's sometimes nicer to have an application rather than a web-based thing when you're offline, because it's a little easier. You don't have to like force yourself to use that Chrome or like Safari, like just share a tab, just share a window tab. Like, you can just kind of like set it up a little bit more. There's a little more flexibility, I feel like, when you're not doing live things. So yeah, those are kind of the two main ones that I'm using editing or filming wise. I'd use a little DaVinci Resolve to do some editing if I have to, and then Opus Clip for all the short content.
Okay, interesting. Are you Mac or PC guy?
I'm a PC guy. Yeah, I got a big PC over there, and I got this 49-inch super ultra wide in front of me. So I got a lot of real estate here to play with.
I found the ultra wide. I've been wanting to get one, but I felt like it would be a challenge to get the screen size right for the tutorials, for the screen recordings. How do you work with that?
It is a lot. I think this one is like 5,200 and something wide by like 1440. So if I snap like a window, normally what I do is I'll like snap a browser window to half of it. And then it's really good quality. Like, like when we're recording in like a 4K or something, I mean, really not for recording, I guess in 4K, it's like 1440, I guess. But when you're recording in that, like, it's not hard to see, but you do sometimes have to zoom in, like I was talking about, because it's not like a small laptop screen or anything. There's a lot of real estate here. It's like, I mean, I guess it's 49, what is 49? So is it like 224-inch monitors basically, but they're like squished together and there's no bezel in the center. I mean, it's massive when you look at it like the first time. It's kind of like, this is kind of jarring. Also, it's not that far away from my face, so hopefully I don't go blind. But yeah.
That's why I wear
yeah, it's
these.
been okay.
For
Honestly,
sure.
I need to wear my glasses more. Yeah, so it's not bad, but yeah, you might have to do some zooming for sure.
Do you like set
Yeah.
up your aspect ratio? Because like I find not having the right aspect ratio like set
Mhm.
up for the actual viewport that's being
Mm,
recorded is a challenge. Trying to record on a MacBook Pro, I find to be a
yeah,
nightmare.
I
I
see.
because it doesn't
Yeah,
it has a higher aspect ratio, so
right.
it's very difficult I find to do screen
Yeah.
recordings on
Is it
that.
a yeah? Is that like a 2x3 maybe, or a 3x2 or whatever? Because like this thing is 32x9. So like it's super ultra wide. Like it's not the one that's like a rectangle. Like it's crazy. So it's like it's 32x9, meaning that it's like two 16x9s right next to each other. So when I do snap a window, it's like it's just on a regular your standard aspect ratio for a video. Now there are, you make a good point though. There's some YouTubers that don't record in 16x9 anymore. Like they record in something wider, like MKBHD I think does this, but I haven't gone that far yet. So I'm pretty much recording in 16x9. The window is snapped to that, and then ultimately that's what you see on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
But you make a good point though. If you get something that's like just ultra wide, one of those ones that are like, I don't know, 32 or 34 inches, and they're just kind of like a little bit larger than a regular screen, then yeah, you're gonna probably have to do some weird stuff. Probably have to do like 2/3 of the screen or something. I feel like, depending on what the math is there. So you got to play around with it,
Yeah.
but you could probably preset it, I would assume. And then again, like we were talking about, just got to make it efficient on yourself, so you're not messing around with it every single time.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Okay, I want to make a pivot. I want to talk about
yeah.
something that
Let's
most people
pivot.
don't talk about,
Mhm.
that they
Yeah,
don't talk about, monetization.
it's a
Let's
good
go ahead and
topic.
talk about that. Yeah,
Hmm.
so there are several different ways in, what is it called? The creator economy. I
Hmm.
guess that's like the label
It's
that's being used now,
a pretty
but
good one. Yeah,
yeah, again, these some of these labels, man, it's so weird, like
yeah,
I'm happy with just being a web designer,
yeah,
call me
yeah.
other things, especially influencer. I despise that one,
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
try
that.
not to use that one. Yeah, yeah,
And
not
here's the
fun.
reason. Okay, before we get into the monetization, just since I brought up the word and the semantics of
Yeah.
influencer, uh,
Hmm.
I heard it broken down on Think Media. Think Media, by the way, is a fantastic YouTube channel for anybody wanting to build YouTube channel, like build their YouTube channel or create content. It's fantastic. But I remember he broke down the different, languages. So basically, you got your educators and then you got your influencers. The educators are teaching something with value. There's something very specific that they want to achieve in their content for the end user. And the influencers are creating entertainment and don't really provide value other than entertainment. So, I look at it as that's how I like to look at it. And we're both
Yeah.
definitely on the educator side. Now, going back to that, okay, for monetization, there are things like sponsorships, affiliates, paid communities, courses, and I'm sure more as well as we could start to think about it. What are your thoughts on monetization so far? Let's talk about sponsorships. Are you getting requests and
Mhm.
having people reach out for sponsored content? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a whole thing. So I would say sponsorships, if you do enough content, it is naturally going to happen that people are going to reach out to you, or you're going to realize at some point that you need to reach out to companies. Probably they're going to reach out to you first, generally, because most companies, let's keep it to WordPress. Most companies are going to realize at some point, like, hey, this person's making out good content. They're already talking about our stuff. We like what they're doing. They seem like a good enough guy. They want to make more money. They want to help you grow as a creator. So it just naturally makes sense. So you'll definitely start getting that. The level of, I don't want to say like quality of sponsors is, like it's going to depend on like who's reaching out to you, how they're reaching out to is it like a blast? Is it directly towards you? You're going to have to like try to pick up on that a little bit yourself. I have tried to navigate this with a lot of help from other people, that have done this before me in our space, and not only in our space, but actually broader, like one specific one that's outside of our immediate WordPress niche. His name is Justin Moore, and he's a sponsorship coach, and I kind of like have followed a lot of his stuff. And if you're interested in this stuff, you probably should just at least take a look at some of those types of things, because there's not too many people, like you said, talking about this specifically, and there's very few people that actually have a framework for it. He does have one, so that's definitely somewhere to start. I think the main thing with sponsorships is you have to understand that it's the thing that I learned very quickly is it's kind of the same thing as web design in a way. Like I was like, okay, now I have to. It's like my clients are the product companies, and I'm delivering, instead of my clients being another business owner. It is another business owner, but it's a product instead of like some construction company or doctor's office or something like that. It's another product. The deliverable just shifts from building a website to creating a video. It's a very similar structure in that regard. You have to understand that. You have to really understand, like in your discovery meeting or your discovery call with the brand, just like in your discovery call with the web, like your web design client, you have to realize what they're after. You have to know if they're after for brand awareness, or if they're more interested in conversions, if they're interested in content for their own platform. There's a lot of different things that you start to learn very quickly when you start dealing with sponsorship options, because they're all going to take a little bit of a different form in a way. And every brand, this is the main one, every brand is going to have a different amount of experience dealing with like paid sponsored content. Some of them have never done it. Some of them do it all the time. Some of the brands are bigger, smaller, and it really depends on who you're kind of after. We're lucky in the WordPress community because a lot of people know each other. You can get build rapport very quickly. And a lot of times you can kind of just start with the tools that you already use. That's kind of the easiest. You're already familiar with them. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the high level on the sponsors. I've gotten approached by people. I've approached people, pitched people. We've done some on the channel already. I would say we're probably just getting our feet wet with most of it, but there's definitely a lot, that I'd love to learn from you, Jeffrey, on what's your take, honestly, on this whole thing, because it's a whole new realm for people when they get into this.
It really is. And I found it to be a challenging one because of some limiting mindsets, some limiting
Mm-hmm.
beliefs that I had
Yep.
before with sponsorships. Because you will see some negative comments sometimes. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, they, like, oh my God, here's another sponsorship, or,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
So when you see that, for me, I developed, you know, uh, a limiting belief around the topic, and I was fortunate to have people like what you did reach out to others with experience and learn. Like I had like Paul, who has been
Yep.
super helpful in that area, like a mentor, guiding along that journey on how to navigate it. And I've kind of gone back and forth, and I finally feel like I've gotten to a place where I understand it a lot better and understand the direction. I think, like, for one, uh anybody who is against somebody doing a sponsorship
Mhm.
is, not the right person to listen to. Okay, that's
Yep.
the first thing.
Mhm.
I can't listen to that. Some people think we should build websites for free. So,
Yeah.
we shouldn't. Should we
Yeah.
listen to that person? And so and the truth is, it's like we're paying for a lot of equipment, we're paying for a lot of time, a lot of investment goes into it, and the sponsorships, they work both ways. But it's really important to have that good relationship. Like I set rules for my sponsorship guides. It's got to be something that I use myself or would use myself, that I've tested, I've vetted, and something that I would recommend without a sponsorship. That's number one.
Right.
And I think where sponsorships get a bad rep is when we see other channels. I mean, look at the whole Honey situation. Like, were you up to
Oh my
date on
gosh.
that with Honey?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That was crazy.
like all these people took the big paycheck, but only a few of them said, hey, something doesn't feel right. How is
Mhm.
Honey making their money? They're not being clear. Something feels shady. But a
Mhm.
majority, like 90% and above, said, hey, they're paying a lot of money. Let me do that. So, that's what we got to be careful of. And I think that's where the negative view could be added, where it could come
Yeah.
into. But yeah, my view on it is sponsorships are great as long as it's like a good partnership. It's like finding a good client. You know, you got some
Yep.
clients they have red flags.
Mm.
They don't respect your time. Bad client stuff. But you got some sponsorships that are also new to this. They don't understand how it works yet. They haven't really gone into it, especially with like newer plugins I found. And then you got some that are like partners and they're really great to work with, and I think
Yep.
that's what to look for.
For sure. Yeah, I think one random tip with this that I actually I revised mine is if you start to work with sponsors, I mean, even affiliates, but we could talk about that separately. Sponsors are it's a different type of monetization, and it's literally you're getting paid to produce the content. Now, again, I totally agree with you. You should use the product, or you should at least believe in the product and would recommend it without that. I think one thing that I've seen other creators do, and like I said, I implement it for myself. You can see it in the footer of my website, is I have an ethics statement where it's kind of just one place where, if you get that mean comment or you get somebody asking like, hey, why are you doing sponsored videos? You can be like, or like, do you actually believe in this? Like if you get any pushback, it's like, hey, right over here on my website it's linked in every one of my descriptions too. This is exactly who I work with, why I work with it. It explains a little bit of like what we just said, like, hey, we're providing valuable content. We need to be able to monetize that. And honestly, we're just trying to kind of continue to pay it forward even a little bit with these other brands. Like we're using them already, so we're trying to get compensated because this is literally, like I said earlier, another business. It's just kind of part of it. And, yeah, so I would highly recommend if you're a creator and you start doing it, definitely just let your audience know and be upfront with them. If they don't like it, that's totally fine. It might just not be the content for them. And, that's I guess it is what it is. It's we're just trying to do what we got to do. So
That's a very important piece, being straightforward and honest. Like
yep.
I've seen channels that are clearly doing sponsored video after sponsored video, but not
Yeah.
letting us know. You got to
Mm-hmm.
hit that sponsorship tag, first of all, legally. You could get in big
Yeah.
trouble legally by not doing that as well.
Yeah.
But you got to do that and be clear and let people know that, hey, yeah, this is a sponsored video. And, that way people are able to make their own decision based on
Yeah.
what you are letting them know. Uh, yeah. There's something about just being honest and genuine, and that is
Mm-hmm.
part of building the brand. And it's important. It's all of it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. I need some more coffee right now. So I'm just going to
Okay.
let you take it over while I get
Yeah.
a sip and
All
clear
good.
my
Yeah. Go ahead.
thoughts.
Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Let me hit on that though for a second, because it goes back to what we were saying earlier, the honest and genuineness. I can't imagine putting up a facade when my channel name is my actual name. You know what I mean? Like I cannot live stream every single week and do all these videos and all this stuff while my channel name is Mark Szymanski. There's no way I could be somebody else. So I have to be honest, transparent, and authentic. And a lot of that really ends up manifesting as vulnerability sometimes. It's like I'll do live streams and I'll be like, guys, listen, I might be like one step ahead of you here on this bricks thing that I'm showing you how to do, but like honestly, like over here, I'm just documenting, my struggles in, with client calls or synergy sessions or, like the sales process or whatever. It's like we're working through it all together. I'm just the one talking in the microphone, looking into the camera. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of it goes back to the community thing. It goes back to resonating with one another and that type of content. But yeah, the main thing is there. If you decide to end up doing this again, another tip is you have to be that type of thing. You have to be an honest, authentic person, because it is very difficult to fake your whole way throughout your whole YouTube career. It's just like literally impossible. You're not going to want to do that. So you might as well just be yourself, because a lot of people appreciate that. They might not all like you, but that's just their problem. But they will appreciate the honesty, the transparency, and the authenticity that you have. I firmly believe that.
Absolutely, man. And I'm just guessing here, but I think it's a safe guess that you're doing this because you like doing it. You didn't just jump into
Yeah,
this
man.
to make a lot of money. And,
Yeah.
like I've been building a lot of connections with other people creating content in our space. and just meeting amazing people, building friendships, you know.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I see in common, no matter where their channel is at, whether it is still in the early stages or they've, you know, massed over enough subscribers to get the silver plaque, everybody's doing this because they enjoy doing it. They didn't get started in this like, hey, I see a way to make money. That's what
For
we got
sure.
clients for. That's what we got our web businesses for. You know, I made a lot
Yeah.
more running my agency. So,
Mhm.
you know, we're talking off air. Last
Yeah.
March, I made the decision to stop taking clients, stop running the
Mhm.
agency to focus full time here. I took a very big pay cut doing it, but I did it because I found that I enjoy this. I love it. I
Yeah.
love teaching, connecting with people, building the community. Uh, you know, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that's you too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell me if I'm
I
wrong,
don't,
man. Are you doing this
no,
all for the
100%.
pay? Just
All for the
kidding.
money. No, I mean,
All for the
I
money.
would say, I would say that I want to make money just like everyone else wants to make money, obviously. But I want to make money because I have to. You know, my wife and I, we have a house. We're gonna have kids soon. You know, like we need to make money just like everyone else.
Mhm.
But never would I say that I'm just making YouTube videos or educating people just for money. I don't think there's any way you could honestly say that. Like, if you're the type of person that responds to your comments, if you're the type of person like actually, you know, takes DMs from people and all that sort of stuff, or just like has a presence on the internet and is educating people, you let me put it this way: there are way easier ways to make a lot of money that, you know, like you wouldn't have to put in some level of effort. You wouldn't have to like actually make yourself vulnerable. You wouldn't have to actually care about the outcome of people's lives when they learn something new in like Bricks or Elementor or whatever. There's different ways you can make money, and if you wanted to be like sleazy about it, you could definitely make some, like, you know what I mean. And that's not me. I know that's not a lot of us in this community. So it's kind of like we're doing something that we love. We're fortunate enough that we have that opportunity. We've been consistent enough to make that happen. And then a byproduct of that, I believe, should be that we get to make money from that if we're able to continuously provide value. The day I stop providing value, though, to my, you know, my viewers or the sponsors or affiliates or anyone, like anyone in these realms, then I don't think I should be making money from that. So that's kind of the way that I believe. I think that if you're providing value, then it's a value exchange. Yeah.
I love that word, man. I love it because
Yeah.
you know, focusing on value, that's for me, that's how I got to where I'm at. It's a
Yeah.
complete different way, a mindset, a way of looking at things. And, you know, I look at being able to monetize as a way for me to add more value, as a
100%.
way that gives me the means to do more, put in more and put in more and put in more. And as we keep putting in more, I find that we're able to deliver more value. Now, there are some no-nos. I'm not going to call out any names here, but
Nope.
there are
Yeah.
some people, you know, I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
them, but there are some that that promote products that shouldn't be promoted. You know, there are some
Mhm.
people with big channels in Elementor saying the best Elementor hosting is Bluehost. All right. No slam on Bluehost, but I mean, if anybody has had a client come to you with an Elementor site on Bluehost, you know what kind of
Yeah.
a nightmare that is. So I do know that hosting companies have the biggest budgets out there when
Mhm.
it comes to sponsorships. And you know, not to attack Bluehost or anything, but your laugh gave it away. We know, you know. But
They
then
are.
there's other there's
Yeah.
and I've seen other channels, like there's another channel out there that is taking Elementor videos that they made back in
Mhm.
2018 or 19 with the old builder and just
Mhm.
re-uploading them, changing
Oh,
it to
jeez.
2025. You know, and the whole thing
Yeah.
is trying to get HostGator signups. You know, so
Mhm.
these are the things you want to avoid. If you're in this, you know, and wanting to monetize, do it the right way. You know, my thing
100%.
is don't do it the sleazy way. Don't do it in a way that's going to mislead people. Do what is right for everyone. That's just
Yeah.
my hot take and view
Yeah.
and advice to everyone out there.
Definitely. Yeah. You have to do it the right way. I mean, again, just my playbook has been that I'm trying to build rapport with really everyone in the WordPress space, whether it's content creators, product owners, hosting, like, you know, people in core automatic. Like, I'm trying to literally establish relationships with these people so I can understand what makes them tick, what value they provide to the WordPress ecosystem. If we can be of, you know, some sort of value exchange, like it doesn't have to be paid, it's just like whatever, you know. And I think that if you do that, and you come across as genuine, the people are going to understand genuineness because people have a very, sixth sense when it comes to like sniffing out, BS a lot of times. So when you do all those things the right way and you actually build genuine relationships, you can take sponsorships from companies, or, you can work with different companies and you be like, hey, I'm showing you this. This is kind of my style in this. I'm showing you this. These people, we partnered up. It's a sponsored video. Here's what I want to do in this video. I want to explore this platform with you, and I want to give you my candid feedback, the things that I like, the things that I think could be improved, the things that I don't really like, what have you. And then at the end of this video, what my goal is, I want to kind of put my hat on of an agency owner or a freelancer or whatever, and be like, who do I think should use this product? Or who do I think should look into this product? Would I look into it? I mean, obviously, like I'm not going to take stuff that I wouldn't look into, but it's like, who specifically do I think this is for? Hosting is a good example, because right now we have this thing where everyone's kind of moving to managed hosting. Some people really like self-managed, or managed hosting versus self-managed, where you can really like get in there and play with a lot of stuff. Different hosts have different differentiating factors that might be good for some people, might not be good for others. So those types of things, and then you take that and you extrapolate it to all the other products in the ecosystem. There is a real need for that, because there is so much out there. Hosting is just the one thing, and there's a ton of options. But like, think of all the plugins and everything like that. It's kind of partially our job to be the tinkerers and the disseminators of that information, to be like, as long as it's honest and truthful, it's like, here's what I think about this one. If you're looking for X, Y, and Z, this will be really good for you. If you're looking for A, B, and C, maybe you go look over here, that type of thing. And the last bit about that is, this is just a kind of an aside, which I didn't have written down, but is another good potential way, if you're really in tune with the market of WordPress, so to speak. I've found a lot of product developers, surprisingly enough, don't really know their target audience that well. Like, maybe not as well as you and I, because we're constantly in the trenches of the comments and the groups and all this sort of stuff, right? So the value that we can provide to those people, and this can go in tandem with the sponsorships or just consulting even, is that your audience really well. I know my audience really well. We know who they are. We know how they tick. We know whatever. We're using Bricks. We're using Elementor. We're using whatever product. We go to the product developers that are building add-ons or form plugins or whatever, and we're like, they're heads down, literally developing all day. They don't have the time, or potentially the resources to do have like a person on staff to like be scouring the internet, figuring this all stuff out. They come to us, and this has already happened with me. They come to us and like, hey, we know that you are in sync with your audience and the community at large. Can you please tell us how we can make our product better, get better user feedback, what the case is? And that is actually literally sown throughout every partnership, because then the users win because they're seeing new things, they're experiencing new things, they're giving their feedback. And then the developers win because we're taking all that to them, or we're providing that through content or consulting or whatever. Literally everyone wins in that scenario. And it's actually beautiful when you really start to think about it, because the whole community is benefiting from those types of exchanges, while everyone literally benefits in those types of value exchanges. So that's a really fun one for me personally, because it's I'm starting to see it a little bit more and be a part of it. So that's cool.
That's awesome, man. That right there, I think, is just an amazing outlook on it, and how it should be. How it should be.
Yeah.
It is. That's the whole thing of a partnership. A partnership is something that benefits the whole full circle. It benefits the viewers and users, the creators, the company, the developers. It's just beneficial. It adds value all the way around. So yeah, my thing would be like, if anybody is starting this, they're maybe you've been doing this for a while and thinking, should we be using sponsors? Ask yourself, is this going to benefit everyone, or is this only going to benefit you?
Right.
So yeah, man, really good one. I'm glad you also brought that up about the audience, knowing exactly who your audience is. That, I feel, is a huge, huge point, and something that everyone creating content should understand. It's one of the reasons I still create Elementor content, even though I use Bricks heavily. But I decided to continue creating content for Elementor because I love the audience. Like, I love it. Like,
Yeah.
I love people who are like new, wanting fun, more visual. I love it, and so I just stay with my people, I feel, and
Mhm.
also bricks users, but it's important just to know who your audience is. Uh, Have you like taken time and sort of like, through your journey started visualizing more of your ideal audience?
Definitely. I've tried to do more research on it as well. Like, yeah, if you're a YouTube creator and you want to do, if you want to utilize the YouTube poll system in your posts, that's fantastic because people love filling that out. Like I literally asked recently, are you freelancer? Are you web agency owner? Are you a bigger freelancer? That type of thing. Blasphemy. That's funny from you,
Right,
Nicholas. That's
Nicholas.
funny. So yeah, I mean, like the poll feature definitely has helped me kind of like gain that. My ideal audience, I think, honestly, I think that I'm pretty technically minded, but I'm not a developer. So this is a fun exercise too. If you're sitting out there and you're thinking about what kind of content create, I would encourage you just to start because it's going to help you. But where I'm at in my journey is I know that I'm not a designer. I can play one, but I'm not very good at it. I know that I'm not a true developer because I know code, but I don't know enough code. I'm a pretty good like website admin, you could say, if you're whatever terminology that sits in the middle there between all that, because I do know WordPress very well. I know how to like fix things and all that sort of stuff. I'm not like a server admin that heavily because I don't know every bell and whistle in there. So I'm trying to think like, where do I fit? What is the type of content that I would absolutely love to make? And I'm also starting to think this is funny you bring this up because I had written down here, find your niche. And when I say niche, it's like really defined. Like Brendan O'Connell's in the chat. He is the automation guy. Like he is turning into the automation guy. I mean, people are going to him. He's making fantastic videos around that. And that's like one example of one that I could start to pinpoint like, okay, that makes sense. I would classify maybe like Kevin Geary as like one of his hats would be like a CSS guy. Like he knows that, like if you really, obviously a bunch of other things for all these different creators, but I'm saying if you had to narrow it down, for me, the closest thing that I could understand right now, or I could, potentially pin myself as, is maybe like the dynamic data to a degree guy. Like that's the thing that just gets me going. I love dynamic data websites. I love more things that are, e-commerce related or e-commerce adjacent membership platforms. That's the type of thing. I'm okay at CSS. I'm like okay at JavaScript. Not really that like I'm just trying to understand that. So to answer the question with all that context is, I think people they want to build those dynamic websites. And the second bit of it would probably be people that actually are trying to understand the concepts at a higher level. I kind of think I'm sometimes like a nuanced psychologist with some of these things and like trying to understand where we're headed and all that sort of stuff. I've been dabbling in the AI realm, just kind of seeing where we're headed. So it's like, what can we do that's cool right now, but also where are we headed so we don't, potentially get like left behind. I don't think anybody's necessarily at that risk right now, but I think I always want to keep an eye on the future because now we're like really in it and we're seeing it evolve very quickly. So it's like, where are we headed? What are we looking to do? How can we give ourselves the best chance to continue to be successful? And I think that's really what a lot of my audience now and a lot of our audience is really one is we've developed a lot of skills. How do we continue to make sure there's longevity behind that and longevity behind our freelance business, our agency, what have you? I think that's really what people are looking for in a lot of ways.
Yeah, finding a niche is really important, especially at the beginning. I found that having a specific niche, a really targeted, focused niche, and getting known for that niche, it allows them to grow from it. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize I did that when I started. I just naturally did
Yeah.
it. But then through
Mm-hmm.
my journey of learning how to build channels, how to get, take things to other levels, I've learned that that is the best strategy to go about. And then from there to expand. I know for me, I niched down with Elementor tutorials. And, that was because when I started my journey, it was more about teaching Elementor users how to build sustainable livings. That was always
Mm-hmm.
my goal. I started this in 2020 when COVID hit, and I saw the hopelessness people were going through losing their jobs. I wanted to help teach people to provide for themselves inside of this area. But like I've come now to the point where I could see where I want to go, like what I really like talking about. I love teaching web design. I love Figma. I'm in Figma more than anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I want to start branching out there. So I found that having that niche is a great place to start and then branch out from it. So that would be one of the advices that I would give to newer content creators. Get
100%.
really well known. Plus, when you get really well known at something, a couple things happen. One, if you're like known as for automation, the go-to automation person, well,
Mm,
if you need to hire someone for automation, you know who to go to. So you could get more business coming in that way. Another
mhm.
form of monetization. And you could also build a community around that as well, because, like we see those who are really niche down. They start to build these strong communities. And I feel community is so important. I love the whole community aspect of it. So I want to open up the next part of the conversation about communities. What are your thoughts on it? Are you having plans, or like where are you at right now with the community building, and where do you want to go?
Yeah, this is a really big one. So we mentioned earlier about the live streaming. I feel like I've started to cultivate a little bit there. The trouble with the communities is opportunity. Like there's so much opportunity. There's so many choices for the community side of things, right? So you have like it's one of the simplest questions is, where am I going to start the community? So am I going to start it on Facebook? Am I going to start it on a circle community, a school community? Am I going to start it within YouTube in their little join membership situation that they got going on there? Where are you going to do all those types of things? That's something that I'm literally actively doing research on, the people that I see doing it really well. Like, what are they doing? What's the observations that I can make there? And then the other thing is it going to be a paid community? Is it going to be a free community? Obviously, depending on the platform, there's some different options there. So I'm really in the research phase, and I lean on guys like yourself, Jeffrey, because you guys have been doing it for a while. I'm sure you have a lot of wisdom to dispense on that topic. And truthfully, being vulnerable here, I really would love to start a community because I think that it could bring my audience closer together with the things that I'm doing, give them more access to things that I can, create like within it. And also I feel like it would just, again, just bring the people together. And I think the thing that happens with the community is when you have a community spot, you don't have to be the only voice. Like you're now literally connecting other individuals.
Mm.
I will caveat this, and maybe you can give me some wisdom on this, and maybe the people in the chat too, because I'm definitely inferior in this realm of this because I'm still trying to gather all this information. The thing that I look at right now with the community aspect is there's so many good communities already established that I know of, that I'm a part of, that I'm wondering, is the reason I haven't made one yet, one of the reasons is there a place for mine? And I'm thinking the answer to that is yes, but with a big asterisk. I have to differentiate it, obviously. Like I have to have like some sort of a niche or some sort of a specific value offer and value prop to it. And I haven't fully reined that in yet. So I would literally, again, like I said, we talked off air. I would love to hear your perspective on, Lightbox Academy, like all that sort of stuff, like everything that you have kind of created there. Cause I think that you've already gone through it. So I'm wondering if if you have any thoughts on it, if you think it's a good idea, or, like what you would dispense, experience and wisdom wise.
I think it's an absolutely amazing idea, man. I think you
Yeah.
definitely should go inside that direction. Dude, it's one of those, like this morning I woke up and there's like 30 notifications from our circle community, man. And I'm just feeling so
That's dope.
grateful, man.
Mm,
I'm just like, I'm like, wow, dude, this is like pinch me, like
yeah.
for real. Like, is this
Yeah.
happening? Like it's been an amazing journey. I started all this with the community, with the building businesses for
Mm,
Elementor community. And
mm,
it's definitely a huge learning lesson, but I believe it's important uh to make sure your community is protected by you.
mm,
Meaning
mhm.
Facebook, your account could get hacked. You could lose that in
Yeah.
any moment. It's really weird how Facebook changes things. So you don't really have that control. It could be gone
Mhm.
in an
Yeah.
instant. YouTube, well, same thing. You don't have that control. And using their platform, I don't like the fact YouTube takes 30%. I feel
Mhm.
that is way too much to be cutting into the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready to build your community in a space where it's safe and that you're able to pivot and move as needed and to protect that community, because it is about building relationships, building connections. And one of the beautiful things that happens, man, that I've seen happening inside ours is I'm seeing people connecting with each other, collaborating, teaming up on projects, starting to work
Yeah.
together. And sometimes, like, I get busy, I come in, I see questions, but everybody is already helping each other out. Now, one thing that, to go back to your question, like, is there room for me when other people are creating communities? And I say absolutely yes, because you're going to bring in your own vibe. You're going to bring in your own uh atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like with the Lightbox Academy, my vibe and atmosphere is good vibes, man. We're here to keep it, this is a place
Yeah.
where we're going to come, stay positive, we're going to have good vibes. It's more of a friendly space, and I
Mhm.
love that. That's just me
Yeah.
personally, and you're going to use your own personality, and you're going to have that space. And I like Circle because it's a good place to connect in other communities. You got the sidebar, which has all
Mhm.
the other communities, and a lot of people are joining multiple. And I believe in the next couple of years, we're going to see a massive growth in this area.
Yeah. I do think I mean I think we've already seen a start of the growth because, there's a lot of really good ones like we said out there. And, like you mentioned with the circle thing, one technical thing that I've thought of around this is thought long and hard about this so far because I've dabbled in it here and there with other like client projects and things. Is we're talking about the actual platform that you would use, and you make good points about like Facebook and YouTube. So those ones make sense. If you're going to make something that's like your own, you have like a school, you have a circle, which is huge. The funny thing is, I want to know if you've thought about this. Is we're WordPress guys. Like, why wouldn't we put it on WordPress? And there's one specific glaring problem that I see with this, and that is that I think a lot of people use like the Circle app on their phone. Now, obviously, you could just like download the website as an app or whatever. We're technical, we could probably figure that out. But the point is that I think the experience might be a little clunkier for a lot of people than they're accustomed to. And like you bring up a great point, like they can just switch between their communities in the Circle environment. So that's another big thing. But just quickly, from a technical perspective, did you ever consider putting it on, like building your own WordPress, like a community built in WordPress with like a, I don't know, MemberPress, SureDash, obviously that's newer, like any of those types of things, or did that ever cross your mind?
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, like, I went through the process of figuring out using a platform versus building mine when I created my first course. Like, do I
Yeah.
just use like something like LearnDash and build it in my
Yeah.
website? And naturally, that would be the thing I wanted to do. And I started going down that path, and I found I was spending all my time trying to build
Yeah.
out the site instead of actually creating the content.
That's a good
And
point.
that is where I decided to think more as a business owner than a developer. A business owner needs to focus on the business side of things. A
Mhm.
community, somebody building a community, needs to focus on the community, not building the website, not all the
Yeah.
technicality that goes into it. Now, we could always hire a developer to take care of it, or we could just pay the subscription,
Mhm. Yeah.
and not worry about it, have the support there, and so on. And Circle is not cheap. Like, my subscription is over $2,000 a year. Like, I have
Yeah.
the business plan. That way we have the AI search. There are things in that business plan that I found just add a whole lot more value to the community. So I've invested in it. And, this is a reason why too, we need to start considering paid communities. And you brought that up,
Right.
like, should it be paid? Should it be free? And I pay for communities. Like, I
Yeah.
do. Like, the reason why I got to the level that I'm at is because in my second or third year running an agency, I had no idea what I was doing. I was, I lost it all. I made every bad mistake you can make, and
Mhm.
I got to the point where my life was breaking, and I just
Yeah.
was thinking about giving it all up and going back to the Home Depot and starting to
Mhm.
work back
Yeah.
at the Home Depot.
Yeah.
I was that close, man. And then I
Yeah.
joined the Future Pro community. I was paying 150
Mhm.
bucks a month, and I had no money, but I was still paying for it. And that put me in a position where I was investing in myself, and I wanted to make sure I was putting in the work. And that's where my life and my business changed. It transformed with that. So I really believe in having some sort of a financial gateway, it also helps to make sure that, the community members who are, in that paid area, they're also going to get that value. They're also protected from, people who aren't willing to pay,
Right.
so if that makes sense.
I'm with you, man. Like I said, I think it's a tough topic to talk about sometimes, and hopefully it gets easier. I don't know if it will, but like it's still a value exchange. I feel like at the end of the day, and if you look at it from that realm, um, it's a choice still. If you don't feel like if you're in a community, I mean, again, like you said, I'm in paid communities as well. If I don't think I'm getting enough value out of it, I just leave. And I'm sure you're like that. It's like, we'd love to have you. We'd love to see you stay. But if you don't feel like you're, not getting enough value, nobody's forcing you to be here. So, thank you so much for being here, and, best of luck to you is kind of, I feel like, one way to kind of slice it there. But, I always frame a lot of the stuff like this. It might even be still in my ethics statement. I know it was in there the first round, is like, if I try to do these types of things and I can't monetize them, or like, I don't choose to monetize them, then I'm not going to be able to continue to do them. And if I can't continue to do them, then you're going to lose the value that I'm providing, because I literally can't, afford to do these types of things or whatever. Might have to go back to the Home Depot. You know what I mean? Or and it's a lose for me, it's a lose for you, it's a lose rather than us both winning and continuing to do what we have to do. So that's one way that I've kind of tried to unpack it, and I think a lot of people do understand that, and it's awesome, because then everybody wins.
Yeah, definitely. First off, I gotta say, Steve, thank you, man. I see you. Much love. I really
Steve.
appreciate it, man. For sure. Yeah, it takes years to do. It takes years to build up. It's
Yeah.
not like just something. It's a long-term commitment. And
Yeah.
honestly, man, like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue doing it.
Yeah.
In 2023 was a rough year for me. There's some life events that happened. It was a very, very challenging year, and it was really hard to keep it going. Like, there's that financial commitment to it, but then there's also the time and energy that needs to go into it. And I was like, is this even working? When you don't see the growth, or it doesn't work out the way you expect it to work out, it gets really hard. And it's one of those things where Seth Godin calls it the dip, and I hit
Yeah.
that dip and had to push through. But I am so grateful that I did, because it was hard. I made a lot of mistakes. It was a learning lesson. One of the biggest mistakes is pricing. All right, so I want to share that when
Yeah.
it comes to pricing,
Yeah.
for courses, for communities, for anything. Price low and build up. All right. Don't price
Mhm.
high, because it's hard to bring that price down when you
Mm.
overprice it. So that would be one of my biggest takes on it for the learning lessons.
Mhm.
But then you just got to grind through it. Be ready to pivot, man. Find ways
Mm.
to adjust. But once you do, and you start to see it working, man, it becomes a beautiful thing. And that's the reason why I say, yeah, Mark, like, from what I see that you're doing in your live streams, how you're connecting with other people, and you have like I love talking with others like you and connecting with others
Mhm.
like you, because you do have a different perspective. You do have, like,
Yep.
this different voice. You are in this, like, your audience is a little bit different but still similar. And man, we like
Mm.
grow and learn. And to me, this is why I feel it is there's that open space for multiple communities. Like, it is not oversaturated, and
Yeah.
then our communities will overlap, but they're going to go to yours, and they're going to get some type of value that you're providing. They're going to come to mine,
Yeah.
get some type of value. They're going to go to Kevin's, they're going to go to Paul's, they're going to go to the different ones and pull something different from each one. And it's like you said, when it's not needed, you're not supposed to stay in something forever. You're
Right.
supposed to stay in it for as you need in your journey.
Mhm. Yeah. No, 100%. That's a good way to put it too. It's like, you're not locked in. You're not locked in forever. We all go through these cycles and these seasons of growth, and maybe it's I don't know, a couple of years or whatever, like whatever the arbitrary amount would be, and then it's kind of like you're I don't know, you just float off to the next thing. Yeah, 100%, man. I'm with you. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. One thing I hope for everybody in my community is that they outgrow me. I hope that. I want that for
Yeah.
everyone. I want
Yeah.
them to get to a higher level and to
Yeah.
outgrow me and be like, yeah, I don't need that anymore. I need something at a much bigger level to help me solve much bigger problems in my business. That to
Yeah.
me
That would
is
be,
the best compliment that I could get, man.
that's a very good outlook for it. Just continue to be, you want your, you want your people to, I don't know, just out, yeah, like you said, outgrow you. I mean, I kind of feel like that's a good way to think about, like, you know, I take it from children, like having a children. I don't have a kid yet, but like my parents are always like, I want you to continue to be better than me. Like, just like take what we have, you know, take like the thought processes and everything like that. Or like, we'll teach you as much as we can. Like us as educators, we'll teach our followers and everything as much as we can. And then you go to, you know, other followers and continue. I always try to say that too, honestly, in my videos where, like, here's what I'm telling you, but don't just listen to me. Go look at other people, make sure that you're getting, you know, information from multiple sources, and make sure you're always trying to continue to do your own due diligence with those types of things as well. Because I don't think I'm an expert or the end all be all in these things. I think just, you know, I know stuff that I've tried and played with. And one of my mottos, this is kind of what I live by with all the content, is I just try to learn, try, and share pretty much everything that I do. And it's working so far because I'm able to just continue to share those experiences with people. So we'll see how it continues to go.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been an hour and 20 minutes. And I know that I don't know how you do 3 and 3.5 hour live streams. So I was like, God dang, how do you do that? Like, yeah, without a bathroom break, you know?
Just get in the zone, man. Just get in the zone. Just we're clicking away, doing all sorts of stuff, especially when I'm doing the dynamic data things. I don't know what it is. I just do, you know, just whatever. So
Yeah, man. Yeah. I hope to do that in the future with design. I want to just start doing some
yeah,
designs on a live stream, just open it up and just like not
do
even
it, man.
talk. Like just watch
Do
me
it, man.
design something dope.
Yeah,
We're gonna
watch me work. Yeah, people would love that.
we'll wrap this up in about, the 1.5 hour mark.
Yeah.
But I would like to know what's next for Mark Szymanski's channel. What
Yeah.
do you have planned and what direction are you heading in?
You're getting me excited about the community thing, so I'm gonna have to look into that more heavily. So that might be a part of everything that I'm doing. You know, man, I have over the last, like I said, year and a half, I have connected. I feel like one of the things that I've done the most is obviously content, but really like just again building rapport and building relationships. And I'm fortunate that I don't know if I'm just like kind of like good at that, or I'm just, you know, again, I'm just being honest and authentic with people. And luckily, a lot of people have reciprocated that and just dispensed so much like wisdom and experience. So I think the next thing for me is to continue to provide value. I'd like to do a little bit better if I could think about some ways of improvement on the channel. The live streams are, you know, on lock. I'm doing that every week. That's natural to me, and I think that people are still continuing to get value from that. I do want to do more videos. I feel like people probably know me for the live streams, and I do have a decent catalog of videos, but those aren't as consistent. So I would say if I was like striving to do something, it would be more consistent videos about topics that are from the community or things that I'm like figuring out on my own sites or even on client sites or anything like that. I think that would be really huge, just to be a little bit more consistent on the video, like the standalone video side. And again, the community, I think we're definitely going to have to layer that in. And honestly, like outside of my own channel, but still in the creator bubble, you know, we got WP Town Hall with Kevin Geary that we do every 2 weeks at this point. We have the Bridge Builders series over on Matty Eastwood's channel that we do. You know, would love to have you on. Love to have so many other creators on to kind of like talk and stuff, because that's the other thing, man. Is like we kind of hit on this here and there, but there's pockets of WordPress that, you know, honestly, a lot of times depending on it's really based on your page builder or your tool of choice. There's other, you know, agnostic groups as well. But if we can get some of those more people to come together and understand one another, I mean, I know the drama section has been kind of on WordPress in general recently, but before that, it was kind of rough there for a little bit, like the different page builders and things. And that's why we started that Bridge Builders series. So not just with that series, but in general, I think that intermingling of people like you were talking about, where we have different communities coming together, different types of people, different perspectives. I like that. I think it's good foster more conversation and, continue to get everybody moving forward and get the tools to be better. It's like, if people come to our channels and see what we're doing, and then they provide that feedback to us, it's all a big ecosystem where we can take that back to, product developers and things like that. And again, just everybody wins in that system. So yeah, I mean, long term and kind of actually just into the future here, I just want to do a little bit more of that. I want to be more consistent with some of the videos and just talk more about all the cool things that I'm finding. So I'd say that's pretty much where I'm at.
Nice, man. Nice. Dude, we're so much better and stronger with unity than divided,
Yeah, I would agree.
and, I've noticed you've been doing that. You've reached out to me. I believe you reached out to me first and
Yeah.
invited me to the WordPress, someone from like actual
Oh yeah,
WordPress
yeah, yeah,
setting it
yeah,
up
yeah,
for
yeah.
like the creators. I'm in Thailand,
Yeah.
so I can't like stay up to the middle of the night for the calls.
I hear that.
But like, I thought that was awesome, man. To me, that's like,
Yeah.
like just showing and spreading unity. And definitely, I would be happy to connect with others. Like, I'm sure you found this. I see you connecting with other people inside
Mm.
of our space, but a lot of us are just like cool with each other. A lot of us are
Yeah.
just like open to connect and talk. We're going through the same. Okay, we might be using something different. We might have different
Yeah.
views, but
Yeah.
still, like we're all inside of the same space. And I heard somebody saying competition before. I've never seen competition in this. I
Yeah.
do
There's more
not
than
see it.
enough. Yeah. There's more than enough
It's
room for everyone. Yeah.
it's not about that, man. It's not about that. We're all here. Like this is a different thing. We're not influencers. We're
Yeah.
educators, and
Yeah.
we're all learning and stuff. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I'd be definitely excited. I had a question, man, and it just slipped my mind. Hopefully, it comes
All
back,
good.
man.
No, no, yeah. I was just gonna say. I was gonna say on that topic though. I mean, the podcast that you, Paul, Imran, and Mark started. I mean, that's dope. Like because now you guys are all creators. You have all that experience and wisdom. You've been not only just the creator side and the educator side, but also like the actual WordPress experience and like different levels or different like perspectives on it all. So I love listening to those because you guys are all able to come at it from different angles, have those types of conversations. I think we need more of that because the people that watch our stuff, they they're in the community, but a lot of times they are running businesses because if they're not creating content, they are freelancers or web design agencies, and they're following us to stay up on like some level of trends, level of techniques, those types of things, news. If we want to cover a little bit of that from the WordPress side and all that sort of stuff. But my point is like we're kind of, I feel like a familiar and fun, honestly, in some sense, way for them to continue to, have content around the things that they love doing in their businesses because, and if they decide to create content, that's awesome too. I welcome people always reaching out to me. Like I'm, again, like I said, so grateful for guys like you that have been able to kind of like steer me in the right direction, and just be friendly. Everyone in this community, if you're nice to them, they're normally nice right back to you. It's so great. It's awesome. Like there's nobody that I've found that's like mean or like unwilling to help. Obviously don't like respect people's time and don't think you're entitled to anything. But if you just like are nice to people, you build rapport with them and you actually show them some sort of value kind of in return, like upfront, like at least like compliment them obviously on all the stuff they're doing. Some people have consulting fees and all that sort of thing, but like the point is that you're going to get what you want out of those people. And if you continue to do it and you want to be a content creator, you want to be a person in the space, just show up. Just show up on YouTube, show up on X, wherever, show up at the events if you can, right? The actual in-person events. It's amazing how quickly you can build rapport if you're actually a genuine person and you want to just get better and contribute, value to other people. It's what I've tried to do and I'm going to continue to try to do it.
Absolutely, man. Connections are so important, dude. And it's been an awesome journey being able to connect with people like
Yeah.
you,
Oh yeah, man.
connect with people I never thought I would connect with,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
People who I learned from growing up inside of this. And man, this is something though I also want to do this year. I want to connect with a lot more people inside of our space. I want to be able to have
Yeah.
more conversations because just having these open, genuine conversations, sharing our perspectives, sharing our views, and just coming together. Because even if
Yeah.
somebody might have a different view, there's still a lot to learn. And I like to keep my perspective open. I like to audit my opinions and always be ready to adjust them. And yeah, I look forward to doing more of this year. I look forward to also connecting with you more for sure too. So hopefully, you know, we could do more of these inside of the future. But I do know it's late over there. We're coming up to 1.5 hours. I want to respect that. So before we end this, do you want to give some sort of I don't know, shameless plug or something like that? Like, go to the link in the description, subscribe, definitely support Mark. Yeah,
appreciate it, Jeffrey. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to subscribe over on YouTube, it's just my name, links in the description. If you go to mjs.bio, quick little way, because my name's too hard to spell. If you go there, you can see all my links, website, newsletter, all that sort of stuff. Jeffrey, I can't thank you enough, man. This has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate everything you've done for the community, all the content, everything like that. Looking forward to chatting more.
Yeah, I appreciate you. It was really good to get to know you more here. And same here. Hope we could do this again inside the near future. And thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you, Ginger, Steve, and always Nicholas. You can count on Nicholas, man. I don't know, dude. That dude is everywhere, man. I love it, man. Dude, this is awesome. I love this space, man. You got to love it, man. Everybody in it. So yeah, this was awesome. I really appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. See you, brother. Talk soon.